I think that, you know, this is my honest opinion on it. I felt like tonight was set up for the upset. I felt like the upset could happen tonight with so much on the line, all the records that Islam has, and he's going to break Anderson Silva's record. There's weight classes for a reason. Ian Garry is a big, rangy, strong guy who has great takedown defense. I mean, if you look at his takedown defense tonight against Islam, it was impressive.
And it's fine. Just boring fuck, dude. He landed a head kick in round 2, and other than that, he did nothing! For 20 minutes! He did fucking nothing! That's the truth! 0! He caught him with a head kick in round 2, and other than that, he did fucking nothing! The whole fight!
I felt like, I think that Ian is a talented guy. If he had even an ounce of killer instinct in that 5th round, you know, he had been beating him to the body. Islam's whole, I think, right side was beat up. His face was beat up. You don't come out and hug and shake hands in the fight. That shit drives me fucking crazy when there's so much at stake. And there's also, you know, a lot of mental, you know, gamesmanship, whatever you want to call it in this game. You come out in that 5th round with a flying knee or something crazy and you try to finish the fight. I think that this is one of those fights that Ian will go back and watch and say, fuck, wish I could do that over again.
All the shit you talk, it's okay. You make sure you back it up. No, I know. So I don't know, whatever story you made up about meeting me, I've never encountered that story. You know that, right? Okay? Listen, you're a good fighter. Show up, keep winning, and you can do anything. Does that make sense? You got massive fights in this division. You got me, you got Patches, you got Islam. Show up and fight. Does that make sense? You're an animal, you're strong. Does that make sense? I don't know about any story where I've met you and I've chat shit to you. You know that? In this sport, if people talk shit, I ignore it. Does that make sense? You're a good fighter, you're young, you're strong up here. That means you can do anything. Does that make sense? Spread good, do good. You knock people out, you beat people up, that's what gets respect. Does that make sense? You make sense? Yeah? I got you, okay? No problem, okay?
Watch my fights against Volkanovski, against Dustin Poirier. I can strike with anyone, but the Bulls fight where I strike with these guys is more this like hard fight for me, you know. That's why if wrestling not working, grappling not working, I can strike with anyone. But if I want the easy win, I have to take them down
and finish them. But while everyone's buzzing about Islam taking Ian Garry to the ground, Garry himself isn't buying into that easy narrative. He's dissected Islam's fight with JDM, and he knows one mistake is all it takes to flip the script. Garry understands he can't afford even a single mental lapse. Makachev is the kind of fighter who sees an inch and takes a mile, turning one opening into total domination. That's why Garry's strategy is all about denying the takedown, staying elusive, owning the distance, and making Islam work for every single inch of space he tries to close. If Makachev is forced to stand and trade for any real length of time, Garry believes he'll make him pay.
Can he grab a hold of me, keep a hold of me, get me to the ground, hold me down? Can I stop him taking me down? Can I keep the movement? Can I keep hitting him, keep hurting him? And that's the fight. But it's I believe it's the most elite version of a striker versus a grappler that we've ever seen in the sport. I think it's the next generation of what MMA has turned into, because Islam is no slouch on the feet. Look at what he did to Jack Della Maddalena. Like, the guy can strike, but we don't talk about it because he's so good at the grappling. And for me, it's very simple. He is a phenomenal fighter in every facet of the game, as am I. And I think this is one of the most well-rounded fights we've ever seen in the UFC, full stop.
Hold on, Ian Garry isn't hiding his game plan for UFC 303. He fully expects Islam Makhachev to go for takedowns, and Garry's entire objective is to shut those down before they turn into anything serious on the ground. Garry believes his movement, his reach, his pinpoint striking, and his power will make Islam's life a living hell, much tougher than anyone's predicting. Garry's basically saying, Islam, you need to prove you can do more than just grab my legs. He needs to secure that takedown, he needs to keep Garry down, and he needs to actually dictate the pace and direction of the fight. If Makachev can't impose that kind of control, Garry is convinced the fight completely swings in his favor, to the kind of fight he wants. And once that happens, Garry knows he'll be the one calling the shots, deciding exactly where and how they trade blows.
People are talking about it being an interesting fight, but the truth is it's such a black and white fight. It's he has to get me down, I have to keep it on the feet. However, it's the most elite of both of those worlds. He is unbelievably good when he grabs a hold of people, and I am unbelievably good at moving around on the feet and being the best striker in the world. So it's how do we get our games going to win the fight? Who's going to control the fight? Who's going to get the fight where they want it to be, keep it where they want it to be? Can he grab a hold of me, keep a hold of me, get me to the ground, hold me down? Can I stop him taking me down? Can I keep the movement? Can I keep hitting him, keep hurting him? And
that's the fight. But Islam Makachev used the UFC 330 press conference for a different kind of message entirely. He called out Ian Garry directly. Islam described Garry as a good guy who's suddenly trying to act like a bad boy, and Makachev made it brutally clear he is not impressed by the act. His promise was simple. He plans to humble him. That tells you Islam sees this as more than just another championship assignment. He wants to beat Garry physically, yes, but he also appears determined to break down the confidence and the entire attitude Garry has been carrying into this build-up. For Makachev, winning is one thing. Making Garry understand exactly who controls that octagon once the cage closes. That seems to be an entirely different part of the mission.
What do you think of Ian as a person? Sometimes he does interviews. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's good person, good guy, but he act like he's like bad boy, something like this. But I tell in the interview also, we'll make him humble.
We're diving into Ian Garry, specifically Chael Sonnen's take on his fight week behavior. Sonnen, the analyst, honed in on something unusual Garry did at a recent media scrum. He reportedly demanded star reporters keep every question laser-focused on fighting. No personal stuff at all. Now, Sonnen found that fascinating. Why? Because fighters don't usually feel the need to draw those lines in the sand before a huge event. This immediately begged a bigger question for him. Why did Garry feel compelled to announce those limits in the first place? Sonnen wonders if facing Islam Makhachev at UFC 330 is creating intense star pressure behind the scenes. As this fight gets closer, he believes Garry's mental composure, his discipline, and his ability to manage the spotlight could become almost as crucial as the actual techniques he brings into the octagon. Islam Makachev does not have
chance with Ian Garry not standing on the feet. Ian Garry needs to put Islam unconscious. That's a quote by Ian Garry. Now, is it true? I do know since 1993 we've talked about, well, if it's standing, it's this guy, and if it goes to the ground, it's this guy. I do appreciate that, and that narrative isn't completely gone, but it feels very lazy. Let's just reverse the roles, okay? So Islam can't stand with Ian. Well, let's reverse the roles. Let's say they're on the ground. Can Ian go with Islam? Can he compete? Can he protect himself? If the answer there is no, I'm not sure this should be a world championship fight. But the same thing would be said on the feet. You're telling me that the #1 ranked fighter in the world can't fight standing up? You wanna know who's a good stand-up fighter? You wanna know who's an awesome stand-up fighter? Volkanovski. And do you want to know who beat Volkanovski in a stand-up fight? Islam. You want to know who's a really good stand-up fighter? Teddy Atlas has gone so far as to say the best boxer in MMA is Dustin Poirier. And do you want to know who held his own tit-for-tat with Dustin Poirier standing up?
Is Ian Garry truly elite? Chael Sonnen isn't entirely convinced. While Sonnen acknowledges Garry's high-level striking and the undeniable skill required to contend for a world championship, he pumped the brakes on automatically coronating Garry among MMA's absolute elite strikers. Sonnen's point is this: impressive technique and championship success don't automatically mean someone holds an overwhelming advantage on the feet against an opponent like Islam Makachev. Garry clearly has dangerous tools, but Sonnen feels the praise for his striking sometimes outpaces what his actual resume has conclusively demonstrated. At this level, being good isn't enough. If we're going to label Garry as truly elite, Sonnen wants to see the irrefutable evidence when the stakes in opposition are at their absolute highest.
The idea that Ian Garry is this really great stand-up fighter, I'll drink to that. He's really good at something. He's got an incredible record. He's fighting for a world championship in a sold-out arena. Like, I don't discount his striking. It's just a matter of, I don't know what value to put into that anymore. I don't know. Can you become a great striker without competing in the striking arts? Like, I can't come to you and tell you that Ian Garry was a Golden Gloves anything, or that he was looked at for
an Olympic team. But Chael Sonnen takes this even further, looking at Justin Gaethje's past fights. He brings up one huge example: Gaethje's matchup against Michael Venom Page. This fight should have been the ultimate test. The moment to prove Gaethje's elite striking was undeniable. Instead, when Gaethje fought Page, he was the one actively pursuing grappling exchanges, rather than trusting his stand-up entirely. For Sonnen, this raises a critical question for UFC 330. What concrete evidence guarantees Gaethje dominates Islam Makachev if this fight stays on the feet? Sonnen argues fans might be treating Gaethje's striking advantage as an established fact, when it's much closer to a hypothesis. Until Gaethje proves that advantage against the absolute best of the best, when it's much closer to a hypothesis. Until Gaethje proves that advantage against the absolute best of the best, when it's much closer to a hypothesis. Until Gaethje proves that advantage against the absolute best of the best, when Sonnen refuses to simply accept that Islam is an automatic danger every time the fight remains standing.
You saw Ian Garry outclass on his feet. He fought one really good striker, and that was MVP, and he didn't have that same confidence. There's a lot of grappling in that fight, but that grappling was initiated by Ian Garry. And that's not a put down, that's strategy. I'm just offering, with what evidence do you come in a confidence that if it stays standing more than it goes on the ground, it's going to favor Islam? Are you sure about that?
Taking that argument to its...
Chael Sonnen thinks MMA fans are missing the point when it comes to beating Islam Makachev. Everyone says, just stop the takedowns, keep it standing, and eventually knock him out.
It appears he's got to keep him standing. He's got to set him up with something, because he's got to put him down. He can't outpoint him. He doesn't want to go 25 minutes with him. Got to knock him out. That's a good thing. If you're Team Ian Garry, the fact that your athlete knows what time it is, he knows what the task is, it's very, very helpful. I found it to be very encouraging that Ian...
Michael Bisping just revealed a massive star problem he sees for Ian Machado Garry. Picture this: If Islam Makhachev's star gets a strong grip, once he locks his hands and drags this fight into a long drawn-out grappling exchange, Bisping thinks Garry is going to be in an extremely uncomfortable situation, and fast. But here's the twist. Bisping isn't writing Garry off entirely. He's quick to point out Garry's phenomenal footwork, that laser-sharp jab, his incredible length, and constant movement. These, Bisping says, could be crucial weapons for keeping Islam's star outside star and preventing him from ever settling into his rhythm. Bisping's take is fascinating. Garry's star doesn't need to go into UFC 330, trying to create some highlight reel war. His objective is actually much simpler. Win rounds, rack up points, steer clear of Islam's deadliest positions, and walk out as the welterweight champion. This sets up an incredible technical battle. You've got Makachev's relentless pressure and suffocating grappling control going head-to-head with Garry's mobile, long-range striking style. Islam's career
is ridiculous. When you look at the last few fights that he had, the people on his resume, it's insane. Jack Della Maddalena, Renato Moicano, granted on a day's notice, and he made it look easy, got it done in just 4 minutes. Before that, Dustin Poirier submitted him. Alexander Volkanovski, 2 times in a row. Charles Oliveira, Bobby Green, Dan Hooker, Thiago Moises. When Thiago Moises was the real deal, when he was a contender, when he was coming up and he was very, very hungry. So as I say, he's on a run. The record of Islam Makhachev is 28 wins and 1 loss with 18 stoppages. And of course, if he can get a hold of Ian Garry and take him down, yeah, it's probably going to be easy. Ian will struggle to get back to his feet, and I don't think he can match Islam in terms of jiu-jitsu or submission grappling, okay? But it's the style that Ian Garry has. It is the length and the reach that he has, and it is his ability to silence out the crowd and not give a damn if you people are booing. If everyone in the arena is throwing their popcorn and the drinks and going, boo, this is garbage, because all Ian Garry is doing is dancing around, popping the jab, throwing the right hand, using push kicks to keep Islam away, he won't care, because on paper, or according to the judges, he's winning the fight, and his job is to win the fight and become the welterweight champion.
UFC 300, a clash of titans, and even GSP is captivated by this matchup of polar opposites. On one side, we have Ian Machado Garry, a striking wizard with the reach, movement, and elite stand-up to make entering the pocket a nightmare for anyone. But then there's Islam Makhachev, who brings a grappling game so suffocating, it can flip the entire fight on its head the second he takes control. Georges St. Pierre sees one crucial turning point, that first meaningful takedown. If Islam puts Garry on the canvas, starts chaining his transitions, applying that relentless pressure, and unleashing submission threats, then Makachev instantly enters his strongest domain. However, if Garry can consistently maintain distance and force Islam to strike from the outside, his movement and precision could spell serious trouble. Even with that clear danger, GSP ultimately leans towards Makachev. Why? Because Islam's versatility and world-class grappling simply offer him more proven paths to dictate how this fight plays out.
Seems like he might be fighting Ian Machado Garry in August. What do you make of that matchup?
I think it's going to be a good fight. Ian Garry, it's definitely a tough opponent, very good striker. But Islam, once again, his goal going to be to bring the fight to the ground. If he's able to do that, he's going to have an edge. If Ian Garry is able to keep it on the feet, Jan gonna have an edge, so it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, Islam has the edge in terms of skills because he's more well-rounded. He can do it all, and he, especially with his grappling, he's got an edge in that department, and I think that's what he's gonna try to go for.
Islam Makhachev.
Ian Garry, unbeatable. Makachev clearly isn't buying it. He's already spotted weaknesses and plans to exploit them. Islam's been straight up mocking Garry's attitude, calling him immature, and repeatedly vowing to humble him the second they step into the octagon. But Garry's not backing down. He's got that unwavering confidence you'd expect, practically daring Makachev to come after his legs and prove he can actually hold him down. Garry's convinced Islam will be forced to wrestle, because his own strategy is all about movement, controlling distance, and relentless striking pressure. Here's the kicker though. Analysts are still split on whether Garry's striking is truly as elite as many fans believe. Michael Bisping warns this fight could turn into a nightmare for Garry the moment Makachev gets his hands on him. Georges St. Pierre, on the other hand, sees it as the ultimate clash between Garry's range-based striking and Islam's championship-level grappling. GSP still gives Makachev the edge, purely because he can threaten opponents in more ways. The talking? Almost over. Islam wants to drag Garry into deep waters, shatter his rhythm, and impose the suffocating control that defines his dominance. Garry is promising the exact opposite. He's going to punish Islam for every second the fight stays standing, forcing him to chase takedowns that will never land. Two fighters, two utterly clashing game plans, and one colossal showdown at UFC 330. Once that cage door locks, there are no more theories, no more press conference warnings, no more predictions. We will finally see whose world this fight truly belongs to.